Supermarket car park, school pickup, whatever your version of it is. Two small kids strapped into the back, shopping bags in one hand, and the rear door goes up about a third of the way, decides something is in the way, and stops. There isn't anything in the way. That happened to one owner a week into a brand new 2026 Model X, and the fix that afternoon was the kids climbing over the front seats. He wrote it up publicly. His wife wanted the car gone. That is not the whole story of this car. But it is the story that decides it for a lot of families, so we're starting there rather than pretending. One thing up front, because it's the entire basis of what I do. I've never sat in this car, I don't take press cars, and I'm not going to. What I have is a year of what actual owners wrote down, service threads, forum arguments, reliability comments, recall paperwork, and the posts people make when they've had enough. Everything here is where things stand at the end of July 2026. Context first, and it's unusual context. The Model X is finished. Tesla confirmed in January that the S and X programs were ending. Production wound up in the second quarter, and the last cars came off the Fremont line in May. Parts and service continue. Then in April, rather than discounting the leftovers, Tesla added $15,000 to the sticker on remaining inventory. So depending on when a source was written, you'll see the base car quoted anywhere from about $90,000 to over $114,000 US. And the Plaid higher again. That spread isn't sloppy reporting. It's the same car at two different prices in the same year. Check the configurator yourself before you trust any number, including mine. Now, the good, and there's a lot of it. Kelley Blue Book owner ratings for this generation sit at 4.6 out of 5, with 85% recommending it. 352 miles of range in the dual motor, 335 in the Plaid, 670 horsepower, or 1,020 if you went mad. 91 cubic feet of cargo space with the seats folded, 7 seats if you specified them, and the 2025 update that carried into this model year added shoulder room in the third row. A small change that owners with actual teenagers back there noticed immediately. On a motorway, it is superb. Owners routinely report 240 to 280 real miles per leg driven sensibly. The cabin is quiet, and the charging stops are short. As a machine for moving 5 people and their luggage 400 miles, very little touches it. So let's take the conditions one at a time, because this car behaves very differently depending on what you actually do with it. The doors. Properly. The Falcon wings open upward on a double hinge, which genuinely does give you better access to the second and third row in a tight bay than any conventional door. That part is real, and owners who love the car cite it constantly. The problem is that they're heavy, complex, sensor-dependent, and they live where rain, grit, and road salt collect. The two failure modes that come up again and again are the door stopping partway and reporting an obstruction that isn't there, usually traced to dirty or misaligned edge sensors, and the door not closing flush, which over time chews seals and creates wind noise. Post-2021 cars are better than the early ones. They are not fixed. One owner on a long-running forum thread went through 13 months and 12 service visits before the sensors behaved. Another described the doors refusing to open with 3 children inside. And the 2026 example I opened with tells you the design didn't fundamentally change in the final year. Here's the thing I'd want you to weigh. Most owners have no trouble at all. But the ones who do have trouble have it with the single component that stands between their family and getting into the car. And there is no manual workaround that feels normal. That asymmetry is why this comes up so much more than the numbers alone would suggest. Low garages, too. If you park under a ceiling, measure it. The doors are clever about it, and owners still tell stories. Towing next, because this is the reason a lot of people bought one, rated at 5,000 pounds with the factory tow package. And the package matters because Tesla doesn't approve towing without it, whatever hitch someone bolts on. The honest number owners live with is a 30 to 50% range reduction. A controlled test with a deliberately aerodynamic 4,000-pound trailer over 930 miles, average 235 miles a charge, about 70% of rated. That's the good case. Forum owners towing boxy trailers describe planning around 40%. And one towing a cargo trailer reported roughly 70 miles on non-motorway roads, so it tows. It does not tow the way a diesel wagon tows. If your weekends are a small caravan on flat motorway, this works. Mountain passes with a tall box behind you in Alberta or the Scottish Highlands, and you are rebuilding your route around chargers. Winter stacks on top of that. Cold climate owners plan legs of 120 to 160 miles between superchargers rather than the summer figure, precondition on the charger, and navigate to the charger early so the pack warms itself. None of that is a fault. All of it is a change to how you drive. And it's the change people underestimate in year one. Then there's the market question. And it's a big one if you're watching this from the right-hand side of the road. The refreshed Model X was never built in right-hand drive. Tesla canceled those orders in 2023 across the UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand, and refunded the deposits. Australia and New Zealand haven't had a new one since the pre-facelift cars in 2020. Britain and Ireland kept getting them, left-hand drive only, listing around £100,000 for the dual motor and $125,000 for the Plaid. So a British owner is doing the school run, the country lane, and the multi-story from the wrong side, in a car that's 199 inches long and 89 wide with the mirrors out. Some people genuinely don't mind. It is still the least discussed condition attached to this car, and no review written in California has ever had to account for it. Heat is its own chapter. That vast panoramic windscreen that sweeps back over your head is the Model X's best party trick and a solar collector, and owners in Arizona, Texas, and Queensland, the last of those in older imported cars, talk about air conditioning working hard in a car park at 40 plus, and about ventilated seats being non-negotiable. Tires are the running cost that ambushes people. A 5,000-pound SUV with instant torque eats rubber, and on the big wheels, a set is not a small invoice in any currency. City driving is the other place the size shows up. Almost 89 inches wide with the mirrors out, in a turning circle a shade under 39 feet. So British multi-stories, Dublin side streets, and Toronto laneways all become a considered exercise. The upside is that the doors, when they behave, genuinely are better than conventional ones in a tight bay, which is the argument for the whole design in the first place. On build quality and software generally, refresh-era cars report far fewer creaks than the 2016 to 2018 ones, but owners of every Tesla generation still mention occasional screen freezes and reboots, and trim and seal complaints haven't vanished. None of that is unusual for the class. It's just harder to shrug off at this money. On the official record, there's a recall covering certain 2021 to 2024 Model S and 2021 to 2025 Model X cars, where an airbag with the wrong horn pad may have been fitted, which can stop the horn sounding. There's a rear-view camera delay campaign on older Hardware 3 cars, fixed over the air from April this year, with letters going out in July. And separately from any recall, on the 23rd of July, U.S. regulators declined to open a defect investigation into Tesla's door releases, but did start rulemaking on emergency exit systems across the whole industry. That's a process, not a finding, and it'll take years. What's useful today is simply knowing where the manual releases are in your own car, including the rear ones, and making sure passengers do too. Money, and this is where the X asks a lot. Kelley Blue Book puts the 5-year cost to own at just under $120,000 US, of which about $58,500 is depreciation, leaving a residual near $33,000. That's a brutal curve, and it's the same story the S has told for years. The counterweight is that with no new inventory left, late S and X cars have reportedly started attracting a premium. Whether that holds once the last stock clears, I don't know, and neither does anyone quoting you a confident number. The other line to think about is out-of-warranty door work. Recalibration and seals are one thing. Hinges, actuators, and latch assemblies are another, and this is the part of the car that has no equivalent on a normal SUV. Battery, though, is the reassuring bit. Tesla fleet data for the S and X suggests packs often hold around 88% of capacity near 200,000 miles. The expensive thing on this car was never the battery. I read that figure twice because it sits so oddly next to everything else people complain about. The X owner, and this one's useful because he wasn't angry. A Plaid owner traded his in for a Rivian R1S and wrote up 800 miles of comparison. His complaints were space and the doors. He felt the interior packaging didn't use the footprint well, praised the R1S's storage and third row, and was blunt that he was glad to be done with the Falcon Wings. Be fair about how you read that. He swapped a fast luxury SUV for a fast practical one and got what he went looking for. If what you want is the quickest 3-row EV, with the best charging network attached, nothing he said argues against the X. If what you want is a family box that swallows a Costco run and a dog, He found a better answer. Work out which of those two people you are before you sign anything. That's the whole use of an ex-owner post. Where that leaves you, a year in. A very fast, very long-legged 7-seater with a real tow rating, a charging network nobody has matched, an ownership record that's clean on the powertrain and messy on the body hardware, and a resale picture nobody can honestly predict right now. Tell me your version of it. If you own one, what climate and has your third row space actually got used? If your doors have played up, how many service visits did it take? That's the number I want, not the story. And ex-owners. What did you replace it with? And do you regret it? We went through the Model S at the 1-year mark recently, and the two cars pull apart in ways I didn't expect. And next week, what actually happens to residuals when a model goes out of production using 3 cars that already did it? That's the picture as it stands. Whatever you land on, buy it with your eyes open. See you in the next one.